Oh, greetings everyone. Delighted to welcome you all to the third week of the Painting 2 VPA 122, the advanced class. Basics of anatomy, simple for an artist, all that you need to know. And he's been waiting for you all week, Mini Fritz. There he stands at attention, ready for another lesson. So Fritz is going to give us some of the secrets of the face. Last week I asked you all to text or email me the photographs of the profile of the skull, which most of you have done, and I thank you for that. The deadline is today, Tuesday the 8th of September. So, looking at the skull now, I'm going to lift off poor Fritz's head again and advance towards the picture, because it's only a little skull and one needs to magnify it. So we're going to look at it, and it's much of a follow-up from my initial lesson with you in Painting 1. You'll remember the proportions of the head are thirds, 1/3 from the top of the skull to the top of the eyebrow, and then 1/3 from the eyebrow top to the bottom of the nose. There's Fritz. And then 1/3 from the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin. 1/3. It's hard to see this so small. 1/3 and 1/3. So they've got those proportions. Now with the skull, it's more of a graphic thing. It's a graphic way of learning art, because it's very solid and it, of course, is just a structure. There's no actual life in it, although it had life and it's animated. We'll first of all look, the important thing with the structure of the eyes is to get this sense that they are sockets, you know, that you want to draw them not flat like things painted onto a basketball, but you want to get the sense that a finger can go in them. They have these solid depths to them. The same too with the nostrils. You want to look inside them and feel that a fly could fly inside them and travel around. So it's, again, like a little tunnel in there. Okay. Cheekbones, vitally important to give the sense of a structure to the face. And of course, you know, you've heard it said, oh, he's got good cheekbones. Well, these are the cheekbones. So you have to draw them. It's not a flat thing. You have to be aware of them underneath the skin in order to create a good drawing. Then the teeth. Now, Fritz's teeth are much the same colour as his skull. And that's not really as it would be in nature. Of course, they'd be slightly yellower. But his mouth does open, which is quite good in a little model like this. And you can see the connection with these teeth going into, I hope you can see that, going into these sockets which are in the skull, holding the roots of the teeth. So it's important to get that. It's not just flat. You want to have a sense of these things going in there. And then the jaw, of course, you know, it's all going to be different. He's got a nice square jaw, Fritz. You know, that's pretty average. You might have a sharper jaw, but that's important to get in. So those are the proportions of the face. Now, for this week's exercise, I'm just wanting you to do a nice, good sketch of the skull. Make it as good as you can. I have sent you photographs, and by now, hopefully, most of you have received the book that I sent through Abe Books, which is by Albinus. Back in the history of drawing these things, it was very difficult to get bodies to actually work from. Sadly, a lot of them were people who'd been executed, and it was regarded as the most awful thing to happen to you, to end up dissected and used in such purposes. So it was a kind of despicable trade at the time. And there were two artists who excelled in doing these drawings. Vesalius, Vesalius. Now Vesalius's drawings of the body show it in different stages. The muscles first of all, and then the skin off, and then the muscles off until you're down to Fritz, just the bones. And his drawings, Vesalius, are very good, but I've always found them rather crude. They're good but crude. Albinus, Albinus, on the other hand, created very, very detailed and almost beautiful drawings of the body in its various stages, from muscle to skeleton. And he would incorporate things, as you'll see in those books, with etchings of animals and plants around it. I think there's I can't remember if there's a rhinoceros or something behind one of them. I mean, they're incredible scenes, basically, and they're very sensitively done. So you can learn from both, but I thought Albinus is a more pleasant artist to look at, and also it's a book that you can treasure more. Later we'll look at the muscles from that book and attach it to it. But this week's exercise is simple, just the head, and then we're going to work on the lower parts of the body later until you have a good sense of the basic human anatomy. And whether you become a figure artist or not, and whatever you do in your future, it will be interesting and depth-giving experience for you to use. So there we are. Mini Fritz. This week's exercise is just simply the proportions of the skull and try and give it that dimensionality. Now you can use the photographs I've sent you through the United States Postal Service. You can also use anything that you can find on the internet. There must be thousands of photographs of skulls on Pinterest. You can even look at famous paintings of skulls. The art of using skulls in paintings was very, very prominent in the time of artists like Holbein. That would be at the court of Henry VIII of England, so going back, and 15th century times. They would always use skulls, and they were called mementi mores, reminders that ultimately, no matter how much wealth and all the rest looks you have, it disintegrates, decays, and we go back to the earth. In fact, Holbein, Holbein, who I'd like you to look at, has created a famous painting called The Two Ambassadors. It's in the National Gallery in London. It has two men who are young, with beards, and the costumes of the time showing that they're wealthy men, they're ambassadors. But there's something very bizarre in between the two men. And I'd like you to look at that painting. If you can't find it, I'll direct you towards it. It's Holbein, Holbein, and it's a painting called The Two Ambassadors. Now, if you can work out what is in between the two men, the strange shape, let me know. It's been warped in some way. He's done this and created a different look. So that's it for this week. I'm not going to go on any longer. Your simple exercise, the skull, and send me the photographs by email or text. Deadline is in a week's time, which will be 15th. Okay, so all the best to you all. I wish you all the very best, and I hear from you all. Painting 2, over and out from this week's online YouTube exercise.